Hello ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for clicking on another one of my videos. I am Screen Scene Guru, and today I'll be discussing some Marvel films. Starting off in this first video with Guardians of the Galaxy. This came out in 2014. This was a James Gunn produced and directed film. Really exciting stuff here. This was kind of our beginning of the space-faring adventure for Marvel. It begins with the alien abduction, which is very interesting. They've recently come out with a new movie called Elio, which is basically about that animated feature, so I thought that was interesting. Disney's still coming out with some of those like-minded films, but going into this film, we start off with Peter Quill. His mother's dying of cancer. Their family's around for her passing at the hospital, and she gives him a final birthday present that he doesn't want to open, and he runs out of the hospital and picked up by aliens. And then we jump forward about 20 years and see him grown as an adult in space, pulling off jobs, very much like the Captain Solo in Star Wars. So very interesting. We see Chris Pratt with his star role. Interesting to see that Nathan Fillion was supposed to originally be our Star-Lord, but they ended up saying he was too old, so they replaced him, but they did give him multiple roles in James Gunn's franchise after the fact. But going into some of the cast, like I said, the young boy played by Chris Pratt, and then we've got Zoe Saldana as Gamora, which was really fantastic to see her after the Avatar films, working for Marvel again, or Disney, should I say. Vin Diesel voicing Groot, which I was interested to find that out. Dave Batista as Drax the Destroyer, so that's really cool to see someone from Raw on the wrestling shows. Shows James Gunn likes those guys. Karengillan as Nebula. We've also got some more supportive cast. Seangunn as Kraglin, Bradley Cooper as Rocket, and Michaelrooker as Yondu. So very interesting. At the time, not a lot of people knew who the Guardians of the Galaxy were in 2014, so this was kind of a risk for Marvel, but they trusted James Gunn. I don't really have any of the adapted comic books, but I do have some of the old school ones that I'd like to show off. Going into that, let me just kind of pull from the stack. Got Guardians of the Galaxy, Rancor is back. So this is a really cool issue I recently read, picked up out of my collection, and basically we get to see in the future return of Rancor. She's a descendant of Wolverine, the lady descendant, and she's trying to track back through history and find him to change the events of timeline. She's also led by a squadron of mutants, so very interesting stuff there. This comic book line is taking place mostly in Madripoor, which is interesting. They introduced that in the Falcon Winter Soldier TV show. Just trying to find some pages that are interesting to show off. Here we've got one with our new Captain America sparring, so that's nice. And he's a mutant in the future named Vance that has telepathy, so he can throw the shield and it comes back to him. So that's very interesting to see. We see Yondu with the larger fin. So he was part of the original Guardians of the Galaxy team, and then the comic book was relaunched, I believe, in 2012 or 2013. It was right before the movie, and that group is what the movie is based off of, Star-Lord and etc. But you get to see a little bit of the team right down here. So that's really cool. Captain America was part of the Guardians, so that's fascinating. They also had to fight a character called, let's see, what's his name? Here's another good picture of the Guardians. Nice classic team off on an adventure. Going on, we've got Starhawk, which was a prevalent villain for them, kind of like the Phoenix, which I'm kind of interested to see if they didn't adapt Starhawk for the movies. A lot of the characters in the comic had ridiculous names, so that's another thing to counter. James Gunn had to pivot, but I love the story about how they're looking for a treasure and they come across the Power Stone, part of the Infinity Stone saga. So that was really great. Building up to Infinity War. I still need to do a review for that. But really awesome storyline here with Ronin. We've also got Lee Pace was in this first one, and then he went on to do projects for Apple like Foundation, which was really great. If you guys haven't watched that, definitely check that out. It's going to drop its third season on July 11th, so that's very interesting to hear. Karengillan too, this really launched her career after Doctor Who, Nebula, because it allowed her to move forward in the Jumanji movies with The Rock and Jack Black, which I haven't seen those, I haven't reacted to those, but I've heard good things. Dave Batista, I haven't really watched a lot of his stuff outside of Guardians, but I've heard he's done a lot of good things, so really cool stuff there. Vin Diesel, I've been a big fan of his Fast and the Furious films. I need to do a review for those. Chris Pratt, I've liked his stuff from Parks and Rec, where he started as Andy, and then Guardians, of course, and even Mario, his animated stuff. I've liked Chris Pratt's stuff, so real good praise all around. This story, we see that reluctant heroes, or villains, shall we say, heroes and a mix of criminals, team up to save the galaxy. So a big space adventure, a lot of exploding planets and different things happening, interesting tech shown off, and they did these movies every couple of years for Marvel, which filled in the slate for their space faring adventures, kind of like Thor and Captain Marvel, etc. But very interesting stuff, guys. What did you think of the first Guardians of the Galaxy film? Did you like the ending of the film? It's been years now, so I'll kind of spoil it. They all had to unite as a sort of group to use the Power Stone on Ronin. It helped that, the fact that Finn isn't fully human. They acknowledge at the end of the film part of his is unknown DNA, and they leave open-ended at the end of the film. Yondu was supposed to transport him to his father, but he didn't. He kept him instead for thieving. I thought that was really funny. But yeah, leave your guys' likes down below. Make sure to comment what you thought. You can follow me and support the channel by subscribing, and also following on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, at @SceneScreenGuru for future content. I want to say thank you guys for watching, and be sure to watch for future videos. Till next time, guys. Bye bye. That's me signing off.